morning, kids. What time is it?
Hey, what's going on, Edson?
A lot.
Hey, we got a lot to
great
talk
games.
about. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. So let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
Last week, week 7, we had 4 teams on a bye: Baltimore, Indianapolis, Minnesota, and Miami. So they weren't playing. We know 2 is going to start this week for the Dolphins. That's going to be interesting.
And they moved up to the second place by doing nothing.
Hey, well, you can't beat that, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start. Let's hop right in. I know you wanted to talk about this game, the 4-2 Bills at the 0-6 New York Jets. So what's your beef with this game?
This is more like we knew what the Jets were, and I was very disappointed in the Bills. I mean, their offense sputtered. Six field goals. They couldn't even get it in the end zone against the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened here. I thought this was like a get-well game for them. Was going to be a get-well game for them after 2 straight losses. Now I'm beginning to think the Bills aren't really that good. I got to go back, I guess, to see what who their wins were against.
Yeah. Well, the thing, they suddenly look lifeless.
Yeah.
Like they looked like the Jim Kelly Bills for 4 weeks, and now they look like the Tyrod Taylor Bills again. Like something's not right. Their offense is stuck in the mud. Their defense has been non-existent all year long. They've been getting in these shootouts a lot. So, yeah, they killed me. My fantasy team. I started 3 Buffalo Bills, and it cost me the
I don't
game.
fault you.
I lost to my nephew of all people. But yeah, that was a really shocking result.
Yeah, it was. It was a. I mean, the one thing was on the Jets. I mean, we know who the Jets are, but I guess I could throw in an unusual stat: 4 total yards in the second half.
Wow,
that's what the Jets did against the defense. That's not that good.
Well, and I saw Joe Flacco took like a 28-yard sack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a nightmare in New York, and if the Bills don't watch it, it might end up a nightmare up in Orchard Park too. So yeah, that was a little surprising. It was one of those games where I kept seeing the updates come across the bottom of the screen, and I kept thinking, wow, in the second half they'll just blow the Jets' doors in or something. It just never happened.
Yeah, the Jets were actually winning for a long time on this game. Maybe until like the third quarter.
Yeah, it was competitive. The first game, the Jets have hung in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, crazy. Crazier things have happened, but man, that is nuts. Well, moving along, let's go to the Carolina at New Orleans game. This one wasn't anything remarkably shocking. I mean, it did come down to, it was a close game all the way to the end.
Yep.
But the result was pretty obvious, I think, what was going to happen. I got to give Bridgewater credit. He's playing really well.
Yeah, he's doing much better this year. He's doing not as many mistakes in this system, so it was a good move. And the only other note was that I don't know what the kicker's name was, but he was trying for a record-breaking field goal to tie it at the end. It just came. It was like straight all the way to the goal post, and it just came 2 yards short.
Yeah, it was 60-something.
65. It was going to be.
Yeah, something like that.
But I kind of like what Carolina's doing.
Yeah, and they get they're going to get McCaffrey back this week.
And that was the other good point. They're doing all this without McCaffrey. I mean,
right. But
they're going in the right direction.
There's a footnote to the game with New Orleans.
Yeah.
Apparently, Michael Thomas might be on his way out of town.
Yeah, it's strange how he hasn't. He was supposed to come back, like 3 or 4 games ago, and he got into a fight in practice, and he just doesn't seem to have an interest in coming back. I mean,
another diva wide receiver, go figure.
Yeah.
Who could have seen that coming, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm hearing little grumblings here and there that there might be a New York Jets. destination for him.
Well, that would be a good move for the Jets. I don't know why he would want to go there, but
well, if you think about it, if he's going to be set up with Trevor Lawrence, if that's what they're thinking, they're going to give him a potent weapon and start building that way. It makes sense, but we're also talking about the Jets, so nothing they do makes any.
And there are some highlights to the story that Lawrence might change his mind and not enter the NFL, seeing that the Jets are there.
He's probably terrified of going to the Jets, so he'd rather stay in college another year, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Next up, we got the Bears on Monday night against LA, and I got to be honest with our audience, I fell asleep at halftime. The game was not that thrilling at all.
It was a very mundane game. Mostly the Ram defense making Chicago offense go 3 and out pretty much all the way through.
Nick Foles looks like regular season Nick Foles, where he's like an 8-8 kind of quarterback.
Yep.
He doesn't turn it on until the bright lights are on or something. Although, it was a Monday night game, but yeah, their offense is just so vanilla.
Yeah, there's no running game. Even their one touchdown was a defensive touchdown, so you can't even give them that.
Right. They have a really solid defense.
Yes, they have a good defense, and I think the Rams' defense are really good. But still, you have to overcome a tough defense if you're going to make it.
Yeah, it's the NFL, and the NFL is a high-scoring league nowadays, and you're not going to get by with 16 to 20 points a game like Chicago's been doing. You can't survive that long. It's amazing that they're 5-2. To be honest with you,
it is.
The Orange Bowl. the Brownies at Cincinnati, and I actually took Cincinnati, and I almost had it right.
I thought Cincinnati was going to win this.
Yeah,
Burrow looked good from start to finish.
Yeah, Burrow he's for real, and but Cleveland, hey, you got to give Mayfield credit. He kept bringing him back.
Yeah, he showed some resiliency in this game, and you almost wonder if Beckham's injury kind of, I don't know why that would push him for, like, as if Beckham going out gave him a more reason to put the team on his back. And ironically enough, the winning touchdown was thrown to the rookie that came in for Beckham. So
I have one of those sneaking suspicions that this might be addition by subtraction, where OBJ goes out, and now it's kind of like the Antonio Brown thing with Roethlisberger, where he had to force 9 or 10 balls to the guy every week. And with that kind of pressure off Baker Mayfield, and he can just feel free to run the offense he wants to run now, because he doesn't have a diva in his ear all the time. Might actually, it's going to be, I think it might be completely liberating for the guy.
So, he can go through all his proper readings and just go to the best receiver instead of just trying to
and not have to worry about when the guy comes back to the huddle getting an earful.
Yeah.
So
that was the reason why the Giants got rid of him, because he was always asking for the ball and kind of dropping him a lot. So
why any team puts up with these guys?
Yeah.
Who, if you have 75 snaps a game, they factor into between 7 and 10 of them a lot. 7 and 12. That's 10%, if that, of your offense. Why are you letting these guys blow up your locker room, blow up your offensive game plan when they factor in that little? Yeah, they might make a big splash play 6, 7, 8, 9 times a year, but is it worth the headache? These days, it seems like they're so easily replaceable anyway. Draft another guy, and there's talented receivers everywhere. So it never made sense to me that these teams completely constantly take a knee to these guys.
It's just ESPN or some other showing these highlight reels of the 2 or 3 plays that are so spectacular that they think that they're like that the whole game. Well, that's just no.
Right, and a lot of times these guys aren't doing the little things like blocking, stuff like that. But another potential addition by subtraction, Carlos Dunlap. Maybe, I don't know. The guy was a stud for a long time there. He was by far their best defensive player, but then again, what are they, 1-6-1 now, or 1-5-1? So,
Yeah,
1-5-1. So, get some value back for him, I guess.
Yeah, when you can, while you can. Yeah.
He went to Seattle for B.J. Finney, who was with the Steelers for a while, offensive lineman and a draft pick. So, I don't know. We'll see. Seattle could definitely use some defensive help.
Yeah, they have a lot of injuries. Yep.
Yeah, so it might be one of those win-wins both teams make out. So, oh boy. Oh boy.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There is a lot to unpack here. First, let's give the Redskins their props. They came in and just hammered these guys.
Yep.
That said, let's turn our eye on this big star.
Well, okay, so
you go first, because I have my thoughts.
Okay.
You go first.
So, some of the obvious stuff. The offensive line, it's down to one starter. So I can't blame Dalton. He's running for his life every time he goes back. There's no running game is non-existent. They just can't generate anything on offense, and I can't say it's because Dak Prescott's out. Because let's face it, all those injuries on the offensive line is like we always say, the key to winning is the offensive and defensive line. Theirs is gone. Then you get that. I'm sure you want to touch on this. The hit on Dalton.
Oh man,
which was late, and I'm not saying it was on purposely dirty, but
well, Bostic got a big fine, but he's not being suspended. For
right. But he did get kicked out of the game.
Yep.
But that is not even the story of the hit. Is not even the story. It's what happened after the hit. All these Cowboys players just walking away, and their coach did one thing right. They called him out, and afterwards saying, "Where was your, running towards your player, protecting your player, starting something with Bostic?" And no one stood up for him, for Dalton after getting hit. They're like, they look so lifeless. The Cowboys.
They look like a team. Last week we talked about the article that came out where 2 unnamed players were eviscerating the coaching staff. They look like a team who have quit. At least half the team has quit on these coaches. The body language is terrible. Like you said, they're not coming to the defense. Who knows? Andy Dalton might be supporting Mike McCarthy, and some of these guys aren't. And they just went, there's probably a schism in the locker room, and if you've got guys complaining about the coaches, it's not long before this whole thing just falls apart completely. And it looked like Sunday was probably the beginning of the end for them. And I hope Mike McCarthy didn't buy a house in Dallas, because the guy's a goner.
Yeah,
dead man walking.
I keep every Cowboy. I keep saying, how worse can it get? Is this the bottom? But they just keep getting worse and worse. And when is? So, and of course, I know Jones is kind of like too prideful. Doesn't want to admit that he made a mistake hiring him. So I don't know how much longer he's going to let it go. And I know the incident with Dalton is going to is a big takeaway. But let's not hide the fact that their defense has been horrible all year long. Even with Dak Prescott there, they weren't winning because he was always coming from behind.
Yeah,
they're horrible, and they don't have that many injuries on defense. I don't know what happened.
Well, and they got Van Der Esch back now. They're looking to release 2 more guys this week. I saw.
I know they traded them.
They're right.
Yeah,
of course,
I saw that.
It,
yeah,
but,
they're waving them. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they're a dumpster fire, and they're starting to look. I mean, they could be winless. I mean, right now they're lucky to have 2 wins.
Yep.
They barely got away with either one of those. I mean, the Falcons are standing there looking at an onside kick instead of jumping on it. And, what they squeaked by early on there, who they squeaked by.
Well, they squeaked by afterwards against the Giants.
The Giants, right.
One of the worst teams.
Right.
And that's with Dak playing most of that game and the Atlanta game.
And Dak was putting up almost 500 yards a week in offense. So, yeah, they're... Good luck, Dallas.
What's happened to their? I can't get over what happened to that defense. I just don't. I mean, the Redskins are not a powerhouse, and yet they beat their average rushing of a full game by half, by the halftime of this game.
I have Antonio Gibson on my fantasy team, and I put him on the bench.
Oh.
Oops.
Yeah, big tip for all fantasy owners: play anybody that goes against the Dallas defense.
I should have flexed him in because I did have Ronald Jones and Alvin Kamara. You want to start those two, and they both had great weeks. But the flex position, I put Cooper Kupp or something, and he got like 4 points. And meanwhile, Gibson had 20 sitting on the bench. Yeah. So, all right, next up, Detroit, the Detroit Lions at the Atlanta Falcons. This is a game, I won't lie, audience, I paid zero attention to this game.
The one thing I will point out,
if you know what happened, let me know.
The one thing I will point out is that in the last minute, it all happened in the basically last few minutes of the game, that the Falcons have found another way to lose, and this way it was by actually scoring a touchdown. They were down by 2 points. They were deep in Detroit territory, not just in red zone. I believe it was like around the 5-yard line, and Detroit allowed Gurley to score, and Gurley was told not to score the touchdown because that gave Detroit a lot of time to come back. So if they had just ran another play and ran the clock down and then scored the field goal, win. But he scored the touchdown with over a minute left, and of course Stafford came all the way back and scored. Yep, that's how they lost.
I do think they're playing better. Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Raheem Morris has them playing better, though.
Yep,
they seem prepared anyway.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely better than with Quinn. The only thing I'd like to point out is how ironic this game is in that the Lions are usually the ones who look for unusual ways to lose. And this time, the Falcons have taken that over.
Yeah. The Lions are the perennial 7-9. Next up, Green Bay at Houston. Poor Texans, man. It's just bad.
I feel bad for Deshaun Watson and TJ Watt, basically. We're their best player on the side.
I don't know why Watson took that big deal. I would have just played my way out of town and taken the big deal from somebody else. Why would he stay there?
Yeah, especially after they got rid of his best weapon.
Right.
Wide receiver.
Right.
There was something funny that happened in the post conference that I want to mention with JJ Watt, and I feel bad for him because he's like looking like his brother's in the best type. He's playing probably even better than him, and he's in his best situation ever, and the only undefeated team over in Pittsburgh, and he's just over 30 now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not.
He's 31, yeah.
31, and in a post conference, some reporter actually asked him, how did Aaron Rodgers look, and he deadpan looked at, he looked good, and then the reporter didn't let that go. He asked him, well, how so? And he said in a straight face as he could, well, he threw the ball, his receivers caught it. I had the feeling that he really wanted to reach through and try to strangle the guy, but.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad because, he's been hurt. Every year they make a playoff run, he misses a good chunk, if not most of the season. This would be the year he should be hurt. Not that I want the guy hurt, but
I know.
It's a shame he missed all those great good years, and then this year he's perfectly healthy and he's watching the house burn down. It's awful. Speaking of houses burning down.
Jaguars.
Yeah. I mean, there's another one I didn't pay much attention to, except watching Justin Herbert is so much fun. The guy is awesome. He's great. If they can just, tidy up the defense a little bit, they'll be a dangerous team again.
Yeah, he's he came so ready to play in the NFL. I mean, so completely right. And not just his accurate throwing, and he can make every throw, but I also know the running. He's a great runner. He can do both running and passing.
Tough kid.
It gives him an extra weapon there.
Tough kid.
Yeah, he's going to be good he's going to be exciting to watch. And I got to sneak after this. I got to sneak a peek at their schedule to see what games I really want to just watch.
Yeah, and I'm shocked. They were so good 2 years ago, and I think Lynn's a great coach. Last year, I mean, they had injury problems, and Philip Rivers is kind of done. But this year he's got a great quarterback. His offense, they're scoring 30 points a game.
Yep.
They're giving up 35. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So they got to tidy up that defense. So
yeah, as a rookie, he's gonna rookie or otherwise, quarterback's gonna make a mistake here and there, and the defense can't make that up for some. He's got to be perfect for them to win.
Yeah, we said that last week. You said if he makes a mistake, they lose. And for a rookie to try not to play error free is
that's
virtually impossible.
Expect that.
Even for a veteran, it's virtually impossible unless your name's Tom Brady, and even he makes mistakes.
Yep.
So. This game was kind of cool. I wish I got to watch it. They were in the snow up at the Mile High there.
Yeah, 14 degrees at game time.
In October. That's crazy.
And if you thought that being in Denver that the weather was going to help the Broncos, well, it didn't work out that way. I mean, Kansas City, with all their offensive weaponry, actually scored a touchdown, a kick return touchdown, and a pick six defensive touchdown. I mean, you're adding that to all their offense. I mean, Broncos had no chance.
No, and the scary part is this team is getting another weapon this week in Le'Veon Bell. So, yeah, and they're playing the Jets, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, man. Where are the Jets going to get a win? Jeez.
So that'll be fun to watch. The high-flying Chiefs, and, they just do what they do.
They're probably thinking, let's get out of here, without they wouldn't want to suffer an injury at any time, but an injury against like the worst team, that would be really kind of bad for them.
Yeah. Next, we had the Battling Pirate Ships. Now, this game, rematch of Super Bowl, whatever number, 39 or 8 or 7, whatever it was. And Chucky, ironically, was on the Tampa Bay side last time. This time he's back on the Raiders side. This shocked me. I thought this was going to be like an awesome game. And it got lopsided quick. Gronkowski looks back. Brady looks back. Their defense is savage, and they're not. As long as they stay disciplined, this team can go a long way. I don't know.
They have a really good defense. And Brady had like 4 touchdown passes plus another one running. And like you, I was shocked too about I thought Tampa Bay was going to win, but not by that much. I thought the Raiders had made some progress. Typical of this game was this. When the game was still close, I believe Bucks were up by 7. Raiders had 4th and 1 at the Buccaneers' 17-yard line, and they kicked the field goal.
Yeah,
that shocked me. That decision shocked me. It's like you can't win that way.
No, it was like when Tom played in New England. You can't match field goals for touchdowns. The math does not add up at the end of the game. It's not score for score. There's a 4-point difference there. And you can't trade kicks for touchdowns. You can't. And then, much like the Chiefs, the rich keep getting richer. Antonio Brown is coming in. So I don't know. What are your feelings about this? The shocking news that they signed Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I was shocked. I don't know why they would want to bring such a wild card in with his past. He already was brought in all sorts of problems to 2 other organizations. Actually, wasn't he supposed to go to the Raiders and he never made it there? Actually, great. And so why would you take a chance when you're doing so well to bring maybe someone toxic in like that? I mean, are you really going to get a benefit? I mean, you just mentioned earlier, how many plays is he going to be involved in?
Right. So. Right. I mean, don't forget his off-the-field issues. He's got a lot of legal things going on.
That's true.
To me, it's. I don't care what Bruce Arians or Tom Brady says. This has to sow discourse in that locker room. Yeah. If you're Mike Evans, if you're Chris Godwin, if you're Scotty Miller, who Tom Brady seems to love, like in New England, he's got his little white guy now in Tampa Bay. You can't be happy with this, even if you're Gronk Howard's out, but. There are so many weapons on that team. What do you need to bring him in for? So they're not saying it, but you, especially Evans and Godwin, have got to be like, come on. They're both all pros. So come on. What do you need Antonio for?
And we didn't even bring up the fact that they beat the Raiders without, I don't think Evans played.
No, and Godwin got hurt. Godwin's going to be out for a couple weeks. I mean, in the short term, if those guys are banged up, okay. But, Bruce Arians said back in March that he didn't want him. The guy's a diva. He's a locker room disruptor. All these things. And now he's like praising him up, down, and sideways. Yeah, this was Tom Brady made this happen.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. And much like in New England, whatever Tom wants, Tom seems to get. So.
But even him, he's a smart guy. Things are clicking on all cylinders. Why would he want to take that chance?
He just wants more toys in the toy box.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tom and his old team, they're in some trouble. Yeah.
When was the last time you saw New England in third place?
When's the last time you saw them lose 3 games in a row?
Yep.
When's the last time you saw their quarterback 9 for 15 for 93 yards and 3 picks?
Yep.
This is not going too well for Bill Belichick, is it?
No, they were at home. I believe this was the largest margin of loss under Belichick.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I guess they haven't lost 3 in a row since 2002. And they still ended up making the playoffs that year. So that was with Tom Brady. So, right. Yeah, I don't know. And you're hearing rumblings already that there's trouble with Newton and his attitude and all that stuff already. We knew they were going to struggle a little bit this year. And what people do forget about this team is that they had 6 or 7 guys, and a lot of them main defensive players, sit this year out from the virus. Yep. They sat it out.
Yep.
So Belichick was going in already massively shorthanded. I thought Newton, since he got COVID, he's been horrid.
Right.
I don't know what happened. The beginning of the year, he looked pretty good. He got sick, and I don't even think he actually had any symptoms. He was just tested positive, right? They never said he actually got sick because he came right back. There's something weird going on there.
Yeah, I wonder if something happened when he was out mentally, I guess. I don't know. I mean, and also there's the point that they really don't have a lot of guys on offense. I mean,
there's no skilled
Brady was
guys.
Last year, they struggled on offense with Brady too.
Right.
So they don't have a lot of. And Edelman, what happened to him? I mean,
when Edelman's the only wide receiver threat, you just double down on him. He's not a big guy either. Just take him away. And they have a couple of decent running backs. You got White, Sony Michel, and third one, Burkhead. They all can get the job done, but there's no deep threat on this team. There's no tight end presence. It seems like they're a mess.
They are a mess. Defenses.
Yeah. So, on the other hand, the team they played looks like they have recaptured their mojo and figured out who they are. I didn't give them much of a shot traveling east and playing against Belichick, who'd already lost 2 in a row. I gave them very, very little chance to win. And, well, that's what I know.
I actually thought San Francisco was going to win, but I didn't think it was going to be by that much. You're right when you said they regained. There's such a mystery because didn't they get blown out for like the 2 previous games before last week, and then last week they beat up on the Rams, and this week it's like they're like up and down. Maybe they'll stay really well right now. It looks like
they're the defending NFC champs, and they're starting to look like it.
Yep. And they still have a lot of injuries on defense. Their defense is not fully back yet.
And Bosa's gone for the year. So, hey, well-coached teams figure out a way, right?
Yep.
And nothing's going to faze them. I mean, they went all the way to the Super Bowl last year, so they know what it takes to get there, and they're not going to be fazed by a 2-game losing streak or a bad loss along the way. They know that they have the mettle to get to where they need to go. So, yeah, they look back.
Yeah, the only thing, not that I don't think they can do it, but they're probably in a division that all 4 teams might actually make the playoffs this year.
I know. I know. That would be kind of cool to see.
It would be.
So, last we have the 2 games of the week. We'll start with the runner-up game of the week, which was the undefeated Seahawks at Arizona. This game was everything as advertised and then some. I was riveted to this.
It was great.
It was a great game. Seattle was had a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, and Kyler Murray brought the Cardinals back. And then overtime looked really interesting because it looked like Seattle might go down and kick a field goal and win in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. Russell Wilson throws a pick.
Yep.
And Arizona, whose kicker had missed the kick in the middle of the overtime, has a chance to redeem himself and kick the game winner, and he does. And what's his name? Zach Gonzalez.
Yep.
And it, wow. It was just wow. And
it was wild. I mean, it was. I think this was the first game that I actually saw, like the entire game with the Cardinals, like this year.
Me too.
I mean, I saw the whole game, and Kyler Murray, he's the real thing. Oh my gosh, his running is incredible. His passing is incredible.
He's very poised. He's small, but he's very poised.
I thought it was kind of funny. It was like they were running out of time on that last drive, and I believe it was the last drive to tie it in regulation. They're running out of time, and it was like they call running plays, which is like the last thing you but it works because they have such great way to get the ball down there. Like each of the running plays, even though Seattle probably knew it was coming, it was like more than 10 yards that he would.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
Who I tried to grab off waivers this week, and Doug got him. Doug, I'm looking at you. I was too far down the waiver priority list because I'm good and he sucks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I get lower waiver priority because I have a better record. So
I was kind of rooting for the Cardinals in this one, only because sometimes I let myself get too personal with the teams, even teams that.
Yeah.
And over the last few weeks, I'm like, Seahawks, you're getting so lucky. They've been coming against Minnesota. They should have lost that game before, and they come back at the last minute. I'm like, you don't deserve to win that. And then this one, the tables got turned.
They had it happen to them. Yeah. So, and it's weird because Wilson had 3 picks all year and threw 3 picks in this one game. So yeah, it was a barn burner, man. It was everything advertised and then some.
Yeah, that was perfect for prime time.
Yeah. So the Cardinals go to 5-2. The Seahawks drop to 5-1, and that leaves us with the game of the week. Yep. Another one that came down to a last-minute kick, and the Steelers were blowing them out in the first half. Looked like we're on easy street, and I made the fatal mistake of texting all my Steeler friend pals and said, "Unless there's an epic collapse here, we're 6-0, boys."
Almost.
That was at halftime.
What was it, like 27-7?
It was almost an epic collapse. 27-24 it ended up. It came down to a field goal attempt by Gostkowski. I can't say his name. Gostkowski.
Yep.
And he missed.
And it was unmakeable.
It was only 43, 44 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he missed. So that leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers as the lone undefeated team in the NFL, at least for now. 6-0, and am I happy? Yes. Do I think they're the best team in the league? No, I don't.
I mean, they got to be in the conversation. I mean, obviously, but
they're in the top couple. But there's some serious flaws, and they got lucky this week. And you were just saying about the Seahawks.
Yeah.
The Steelers have gotten. They've almost choked away a few games, too. So.
Every great season needs some kind of luck. I mean, I was actually disappointed at halftime, not because I wanted the Steelers to lose, but because I thought the game was kind of, I was so much hyped, and it was like, oh, it's a blowout. Ugh. And then it's like the second half, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And it turned out to be exactly what it was supposed to. It was just a tale of two halves, I guess.
It was a tale of two halves. It took Tannehill and A.J. Brown hooked up for a splash play, a 70-something yard touchdown. And it's one of those things where it just broke the dam. And suddenly the Pittsburgh was on their heels. And Tennessee kept coming at them, and the Steelers had no answer. And much like Russell Wilson, Roethlisberger's had He's been taking care of the ball, throws 3 picks in one game. One in the end zone late in the fourth quarter, where he forced a ball to Juju Smith-Schuster that he should have just thrown out of bounds or threw it too high for anybody to catch and then kick a field goal, and they would have gone up by 6 at that point. But they got greedy, and instead he hit Juju in the hands, and the guy popped it in the air, and the linebacker caught it, and going the other way. So, yeah, it was scary. But, yeah, it was fun.
I mean, I thought they did a great. I thought they did a great job on Henry.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that took away one aspect of them. So they kind of had to adjust to try to get it some other way.
Yeah, Henry only averaged like 3.2 yards a carry. He had 22 carries or something for 70 yards, 74 yards. So, yeah, they did their job. They have yet to give up a 100-yard rusher this year. So, what got lost in a lot of that, too, is that there was a goal line stand toward the end of the game. And Robert Spillane, who's the backup for Devin Bush now going forward, put a hit on Henry. He nailed him and drove it. You don't drive Derrick Henry backwards. No. And this guy did.
Wow.
And should have been the play of the game, but there was a flag on the play. It was holding in the end zone, so it gave Tennessee a fresh set of downs from the 1, and they punched it right in. So that changed. It could have been a game-saving tackle if not for the penalty, but, hey, what are you going to do, right?
Right.
So
I mean, they won. That's the bottom line.
They won. So we got a Thursday night game coming up here that we have to pick. It's it's the Boring Bowl. I didn't make a graphic for it because I forgot. It's Atlanta, your favorite team, at Carolina, your second favorite team.
Wait, didn't they just play each other? No,
I know. It feels like it, doesn't it? I mean, last week we both picked the Eagles. We were not going out on a limb, and we were almost showing up. They barely won that game.
Yeah, we actually didn't really talk about that game, right?
Oh, no, we did not talk about
that.
Not that
that's,
The Eagles and the Giants, you're right, we did not talk about that game.
I mean, the only thing I saw was, the Eagles down by 12 with 6 minutes left, and they somehow the Giants didn't want any part of that win. I don't know.
Well, suddenly Carson Wentz became what we've heard he is, and sometimes don't see. I think he gets a little reckless a lot, but no, he brought him back, and because of him, I lost to my nephew in fantasy.
Wow,
Jeffrey, looking at you. So, yeah. So I think the Eagles, are they in first? Do they have a share of first? Because they
they're in first. They're in first by that half game.
By a half game.
Yep. And I think they're
6 wins. It's going to take 6 wins to get that division. I'm telling you.
And I think the Eagles probably have the best shot, of course, but
yeah. So Atlanta at Carolina. What's your pick?
I mean, you said Carolina's playing a lot better. I mean, Atlanta's playing a lot better, with the interim coach. But I don't know. I kind of want to lean towards the home team, but home doesn't really mean as much as it did in previous years.
Yeah, so, with no fans, right?
I'm going to go with Carolina on this one. I think they're going definitely in the right direction.
Taking the Panthers, huh?
Yep.
Okay. For me, yeah, Atlanta is much improved under Raheem Morris. I'm hoping they might give him the job for next year. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. Carolina's getting Ed McCaffrey back. And I don't care where they're playing because they're playing good ball. Teddy Bridgewater looks good. And now they're getting their best player back. So I am also going Carolina, which creates no drama here.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay.
Ooh.
That's okay. It's fine. So we both take the Panthers. We'll see what happens with that. But any final thoughts before we blow on out of here?
I did have, in general, about the NFL this year. So usually we talked about the NFL being the great equalizer, how they try to, move most of the teams towards the middle, kind of like, no.
Right.
Not a lot of really great teams, not a lot of really
They
bad.
want parity, right?
But yeah, parity. But this year, there are 7 teams with just 1 win or less, and 6 more with 2 wins. So almost half the teams are that bad. I thought that was kind of remarkable this year. I mean, it could be because, there's no preseason. A lot of those teams didn't get themselves ready. But still, a lot of bad football teams this year. And the other thing was that we talked about how the NFC West, all those 4 teams are doing well, on the other hand.
The NFC West is the new NFC East.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the NFC East that's a trash fire, man. So, yeah, I got nothing. I'm just curious to see what happens with Le'Veon Bell this week. I'll be curious to see what happens with Antonio Brown next week.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm riveted to the drama in New England. I think there's real trouble for Bill. And I feel bad because I like Bill Belichick. And this is... Oh, well. Hey, you know what? He had a 20-year run like nobody's business. So what goes around comes around, Mr. Belichick.
Right. It will be interesting, though, to see how that plays out in that first... in a long time, how, with a team that's not competing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're not making the playoffs.
I don't think so, but...
No. So, all right. That's it for our Week 7 recap. We'll be back in a couple days with our Week 8 picks. And hopefully I do better this week than I did last week.
Maybe it was good that I avoided that day.
There you go.
Well, how did you do? I didn't... No,
500-ish.
But that kind of makes sense. I mean, it's the NFL.
It's the NFL. Yep. All right. We will see you next time, gang. Bye. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell icon to be notified anytime someone from our show drops new content here. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?